Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada. In episode 51, we catch up with Don and Derek as they pass the half-century mark.
We were talking about research the other day. I mean, I was at Muscle and Fitness and we were talking about that. And like, how do we you get this research? Like, fine, where do you go for research? Like PubMed? Like, where do you go? Like, where do you go? And when people say that they're really reading research, where are they reading it from? Where are they getting it from? Like, where are they actually, like, where's this research coming from? Who are the test groups? Like, there's just how many times have you heard in the last 30 years of you being in the industry that there was research that was kind of overturned?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can go 50-50 on a lot of the research papers and go like, 50% said this and 50% said that. And I always like looking at the research papers, and at the very last sentence, it says such and such may cause this, right? And you're like, may? That's the may that we that's what we got. So
it's not good. Where do you get your research? Like, where's, like, when you research, where do you go to receive that?
I mean, a variety of sources, like even like you can find more accessible ways to, get research information, and then it makes you do a deeper dive to find the actual paper. So like sciencedaily.com, they'll have stuff on health and you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then you actually go look for the paper so that you can, and if you can get the whole paper, that's great, but it's tough. Sometimes you will only get the abstract. So like you said, PubMed, all those types, you can get the abstract, but whether or not you can get the full paper to look at the stuff you talked about, like how are the subjects selected? What's their level of ability? How long was the study? How was it implemented? So the way the study was designed is critical. So, and you may not get that in an abstract. So it's tough.
I know. You just hear, it's incredible too in the industry, how many times I've been to, I've probably taken, I don't know, between courses and lectures. It's hundreds in the last, and I'm sure you've probably done even more, but there was a time where I was much more involved in going and taking courses. I'd probably was taking, anywhere from 6 to 10 courses a year, minimum. And then it kind of, or even more, maybe we one a month, but, and then in time, it starts dipping a little bit because, your interests change and time changes and family, and it's tough for you to get on a plane and travel somewhere for 3 days. But how many times have you sat there, if you turn the clocks back 20 years and you're listening to someone talk about something and it's like, oh, wow, this is it. This is cutting edge. And then 10 years later, you hear them go, no, that's what I thought then. And this is what I'm thinking now. It really is an evolution. This industry is an evolution. Like, I don't know if there's ever going to be like a magic machine that they create. At the end of the day, it's, the barbell hasn't really changed. The dumbbell hasn't changed. The kettlebell hasn't changed. Movement. We're finding different ways to package things, which I think you make it look cool. But it's just how these, like Spina with FRC, he just packaged it. It's the way that he just packaged mobility. There's nothing that he's probably doing there that you haven't seen 20, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's. I just still feel like everyone's trying to pull out that magic pill, and the reality is, it just comes back to the basics. It's like, all right, get moving, get rest.
Yeah, because I read an article about, and we talked about this, but even the medical field and dentistry, stuff like that, people are doing stuff that isn't really based on research. It's kind of like, oh, we just did it, and then maybe it was researched after, but nobody in medicine is going, I'm waiting for this research paper before I try this new technique. They just kind of do it. So.
And do they have a right to? That's my question. They're already a medical, right? But if you're, like, who are you experimenting on? Are you experimenting on a cadaver, or are you experimenting on, Don Saladino, who's coming in to get his teeth cleaned? They're like, oh, let me, like Dr. Steve Rico's going, okay, why don't I just try this on Don today? Because I know he's kind of tough and he'll be able to deal with it if I fuck up. So it's like, I've got my beliefs on that, but I don't know. I don't know if you want people experimenting on you. that's a little rough. Hey, Derek, we're going to try this on you today. Like we would normally remove fillings like this, but today we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to use a needle nose pliers and see if we can go about this process a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, and you might just feel a pinch.
Yeah, that's what, you could do that. You could do that in the gym. You could do teeth extractions by putting, attaching it to the tooth and do sprint training with somebody running the opposite direction, pull the tooth out that way. That'd be cool.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about something with sprint training, because you're the guy I would obviously come to. When someone's body in time, when they start feeling like they're moving slow, right? Like in time, I'm sure you don't feel as quick as you did years ago, but I think there's a point where you I feel like I'm getting into better shape significantly. Like at 42, like I feel like my body's looking better. I feel like I'm getting stronger. I actually feel like I'm moving a lot better. But that first kind of reaction out of the gate, like that first step that I take, it's kind of a struggle lately. I don't know why. It almost feel like my hamstrings are going to snap. You know what I'm talking about? Like it just feels tight. Like I got to start. I used to be the guy who like didn't have to warm up and just could get under a bar of 4 or 5 on my back and start squatting and find, or like running to warm up. Like I didn't have to warm up. I could just start running. Now I'm starting to feel like if you get me on the gym floor and you're like, Don, sprint from one end to the other end, I can't. I have to really start adapting into it. And what do you, and yeah, the easy answer would be like, well, start running and start doing it more. But what would be your advice for me to start creating some more like that type of speed response? Because on the ice, I can do it. When I'm skating, I get right on the ice and explode to the puck like I was 15 years old. But for some reason in that running fashion, that turnover, it's been very difficult for me to do.
Yeah, I think as you get older, like I had some really good weightlifting results in my late 30s and stuff like that. So you get stronger.
Yeah.
But you certainly, after 30, you lose elasticity. And that's the missing piece. And I think a lot of that is two things. One, you're just not as elastic. Maybe your tendons, aren't as elastic, but also I think neurologically, I think things downregulate so that you don't hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. So you can't move as fast because, you're going to wreck your Achilles, tear your Achilles. And I think that's a lot of it. There's a lot of inhibition there. And if you don't do it, you're just, it's use it or lose it. So there was a guy somebody posted it online. It was an 82-year-old guy ran 100 meters in like 15 seconds or 15. And that's amazing. 15 seconds is
amazing.
82. So I assume he kept doing it. It's not like he got out of, the old folks home and said, I'm going to start sprinting like at 78. And then, he was there. I'm sure he's had some buildup of not allowing his body to detrain in that elastic way. But I think as soon as most of the older guys who do blow their Achilles probably haven't been maintaining those elastic, maybe plyos or whatever you want to call it, or sprinting. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want to sprint. Boom.
Yeah, popping it.
Yeah. So I just think it is a use it or lose it thing where you have to do it obviously in the right amounts to maintain that quality. And then, maybe it's something you haven't done a lot. Like maybe you're more on the strength side.
Oh, definitely. I definitely am. And I knew that was going to be the answer that you were giving me. I just wanted to have more of a discussion about it because I do know that people are feeling like they're losing a step. And I think it always comes down to now, I never like using the word exercise prescription, call it what you want, exercise assignment. But how much of it is, what's the minimalistic approach you can take on that? Because, you want to restore that. You don't want to lose that. You can throw it into a warm up. I mean, what do you think you need? How much of it do you think you need, and over what period of time? If someone was very diligent and they worked at it, is it twice a week for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 3 times a week for 10 to 15 minutes? What recommendation would you make?
For the average person, I would say, at least twice a week, like, especially if you're doing some of these other things. Like if you're going to do weightlifting 2 or 3 times a week, great. If you're going to do 2 times cardio or intervals, great. And then I would do something that's a little more speed oriented 2 times per week. And that could be simple. Like even some of the drills we went over at Drive where they're just working over 10 yards and doing running high knees and skipping is going to work on that elastic response. Like I think we could probably, and I don't know if there are any phone booths in New York City, but you could probably do a phone booth workout where you're just running on the spot, or I always say prison cell. Like we could probably train somebody to sprint in a prison cell because you're just doing the upright running high knees and you're working on those elastic responses. And because that's what was done in the 1950s. If you look back at how people did it in the winter when they didn't have indoor tracks, they just did running drills on the spot or over a short distance. So you could do it. It's boring as hell to do that. Like, hey, run on the spot for 10 seconds. Oh, that was really exciting. So, you just have to do it. I guess that's the simple answer. And it's not difficult, but you certainly have to maybe accelerate 10 yards. That's 7 strides, right? And your ground contact time by the 7th stride is probably as fast as it needs to be. Less.
Well, this really started for me when there was a specific treadmill. I don't remember the name of it. Let's just say that. And I jumped on it and I pulled something in my glute. I've never pulled anything a day in my life when I was running, ever. And I told you about this. You were actually there for it. This was back when you were and you remember what I was on. And I jumped on it, and the things obviously angled differently. You got to pull a little bit differently, and I got a really bad pull in my kind of hamstring up into my glute, and it's taken me it's still not fully repaired. It's gotten a lot better. And when I warm it up, when I start paying attention to it, I could really move the needle a lot. But since then, since that injury was when things started to dip. And I'm just saying to myself, you know what? I'm not using it as much as I should be, or at least as consistently as anything else. How would I implement that into my training? Is it 2 days a week? Just get on there and just listen to your body and just start trying to pick up, like you said, as much speed as you can while you're in a comfortable state. And it almost kind of
5 or 6 seconds.
5 or 6 seconds. And have you noticed that on some of those treadmills though, that's specific? I spoke to my friend Ben Bruno. He had the same problem. He jumped on a similar one and he ended up pulling almost the same area. And have you found that there has been a negative response from some of them?
Yeah, because in a regular treadmill, the belt moves you, right? Like you step on it, it slides you back, you step on it, and it just moves. So all you have to do really is just bounce on the spot and lift your leg and put it down again. But on these treadmills, they're manual, so you have to move the belt. And the belt can be pretty heavy on some of those models. So you actually, what ends up happening is you grab it and you pull. So it's like, it'd be like a heavy straight-legged deadlift almost, where you're trying to pull this, but at high velocity.
It slips sometimes. Have you noticed that? Like when I go outside and I run on pavement, I'm fine. What happens on those treadmills sometimes, I feel like the belt gets a little faster than you.
Yeah.
And it goes and you're like, whoa, you lose balance almost. I don't know if that's from negative running mechanics, but outside you almost don't feel it. I'm almost afraid to run on some of them, not all. I have good relationships with specific companies, but some of them it's almost a little negative to run on, and then others can be fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of them will advertise to say like, hey, it improves your running technique by running on these treadmills. It's like, no, you actually have to teach somebody how to run on it safely and properly. So yeah, I mean, it's like anything, like, oh, here's a barbell. What do you do with it? You have to teach people. So, and then if you don't teach people properly, they get hurt, especially at higher loads and higher velocities. So same thing. I just, I think everybody thinks they can be an expert right away and like, oh yeah, great, and wonder what happens. But people do need coaching. Like we've always talked about, people need guidance. They need coaching. They need to know when to shut it down too. And that's part of it.
Absolutely.
So,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
The worst thing about that treadmill is that it has a speedometer on it, right? So everybody's like, I'm trying to go faster. And it's like, just get rid of that thing and just run and feel it. Right. So,
Right.
So,
there's definitely people will contact me for running advice. I never give it, or someone will, and trust me, I've listened to you speak about it a dozen times, or someone will come in and be like, they want Olympic lifting advice. I know how to do it. I don't want to coach it. If you held a gun in my head, could I coach it? I probably could. Am I going to be as good as you? No freaking way. I could coach it. I just don't want it. I'm just like, no, go to your, strength training. Great. Hypertrophy. Great. I'm all in. Mobility work. Great. But, go to, get yourself someone who's kind of top notch in those areas. I've taken Olympic lifting courses. I teach it. I just don't like teaching it.
Yeah, it's a very I mean, it's a very niche thing where people want to learn how to do it really well, and it's like, oh, great. I'm not that excited about, but I brought him by your gym, Jerry Palmieri, who was the strength coach for the Giants.
Right.
He loves it. Like he would come to your gym and teach people in a second. So he's a good resource, but he's one of those guys who's just like a purist, like, and I can only do so much of that. So
Right. Right.
like anything, but so anyways, what I wanted to talk to you about was I got to get my regular checkup. So I fasted for whatever. I'm starving right now. I got to go get my blood test. What should people be looking for? Like when they go get their blood work done, like when you send people to get a profile done, what are things that you're looking at?
It's funny. Well, first off, I'm getting my nutritionist to sit with me because they're well more suited to handle that type of information than myself. Like I know the basics and I can have a conversation with a doctor about it, but I almost think it really becomes a little bit medical, and I'm a coach, I'm not, so this is where I really am a believer in surrounding people who are way better than you in those areas. It's funny. It's because you'll speak to different doctors that have different viewpoints on it. And some of them are like really hardcore. And the other ones are like, you're in the ranges. And then I'll speak to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, she's like, no, I want you to be optimal. I've really lightened up with it a little bit because suddenly over the last 5 years, everyone's got adrenal fatigue or a hormone imbalance or has a parasite. And I'm like, relax, man. Like the body's pretty resilient. If you're eating healthy and you're focusing on digestion and you're getting rest and you're doing all this stuff, I mean, a lot's going to get fixed. But I've sent people, and I'm victim to it, 10 years ago, I've sent them in for bloods where they've gone in for tests that range anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000.
Ooh.
Got pissed. I mean, like really in-depth tests. They got pissed. They weren't really pissed. They were more like annoyed. I'd be pissed. But they were like, I went to this doctor. They gave me all his test results, and they just told me that I have to back off on the drinking and they get more sleep. Like, no shit, I didn't need to pay to get that. And I'm looking at the doctor like, fuck, come on, man. You gotta work with them a little bit differently. Like, they're coming to you for a supplement plan. They're coming to you for a little bit nutritional advice that you are totally capable of doing that. You gotta massage them a little bit differently. And I really stopped doing it. Like I tell people now, I'm like, go to your general practitioner. Get your standard blood work. Do I really feel like it's necessary to have testosterone check? Probably not. I mean, if you're feeling fine and your energy level's good and someone comes back to you and they're like, your T's 200, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to get on testosterone replacement therapy? Like, I had a friend of mine get on that and he overdid it and he ended up in a coffin. So, and I know guys who've got low T levels and they've never taken anything and they're strong as an ox. So I just think sometimes we start pointing the finger a little bit too much and we, go for the information. If you're the type of person, you're like a type A, whatever this person tells me to do, I'm going to do. Because a lot of times the information that you're receiving is going to come down to, well, you need to reduce stress. Like you're on your iPhone too much. You're in front of the computer too much. Like you need to improve your sleep quality. And like the answers, in my opinion, are very basic answers, but they're not always easy fixes. Well, you're going, what are you looking to go for? What is there, are you not feeling well, or are you, is it just kind of a yearly checkup thing?
Yeah, just a regular checkup. But, I started to think about it because we talked to Jeff Spencer the other week and testing. And I'm like, okay, should I be looking at something? And then I started thinking about my diet. I'm like, okay, maybe I should be cutting out this and doing more of this, less sugar, so I don't know. I think it's like any test. I'm a little more analytical about it. I'm like, okay, if I get these results, what do I do with it?
Yeah, how do I improve that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, I personally myself, it's valuable information for me because if I get a test back and it dips, it motivates me to change specific things in my life. Maybe I'm suddenly like, all right, I'm not relaxing enough. I'm not taking enough me time. I'm on my iPhone too much, or there's specific things I could do to start calming it down, or maybe I'm getting a little carried away in the caffeine. Last weekend I was in Nashville. I'm like, all right, I had a good time, but I got to back off the drinking now. No booze for a while. There's just specific things that'll give me indicators that I can improve, but I must know to do that stuff anyway. And I think most of the people out there, if you're going for the information, go to your general practitioner. I don't think a lot of you need to spend a crazy amount of money getting these test results unless you're the type of person like you know, if you're one of those right now that gets 3 hours sleep a night and you're having 3 drinks a night, then honestly, man, if you're feeling like shit, fix that first. Like, you know, fine, go get, maybe the test is going to scare the shit out of you to where you're like, it's going to motivate you to do that. And in that case, great. But I can't tell you how many people I've seen going for these tests and they leave and they're like, all right, they told me this. I'm like, well, what are you going to do about it? They're like, I'll try. And I'm like, no, they just literally lit that money on fire and threw it out the window. Spencer's interesting though. Spencer, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I always wonder too, like if I get tested, like, well, maybe I ate something different that week, or maybe I didn't get enough sleep. So should that test be representative of my general daily routine, or, you know, so I don't know. Like, I think I gotta, you know, I'm thinking it's like any test I'm preparing for, and I'm like, okay, I slept pretty good the last couple of weeks. I ate some good things. I didn't do anything stupid. I worked out. Right. So I should get a good result, but I'm sure some people go in there and, like you said, they just got a bad text right before they got their blood pressure checked. Or
yeah, I mean, you know, last year I had some work stuff going on, and you know, the next thing you know, I ate something too quick, and I'm getting, for the first time in my life, I'm getting like chest pains, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? Like, am I having heart problems? Like, I've gone in for, you know, VO2 testing and all this stuff, and they're like, you got lungs like an Olympian, and they're giving me all this. I'm like, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? It's like suddenly, and I go to the doctor. He's like, no, man, you have indigestion for the first time in your life. Like, slow down. And it was true. I was literally like choking down like a turkey chili in between clients. I like inhaled it, and I was like under stress that week, and just got like a little bit of, like, it sounds disgusting, but like reflux, and you know, and you start like, suddenly when your health's in jeopardy, everything changes. You're like, oh my God, like your priorities just get thrown out the window. Like, I don't give a shit about that client I just got into an argument with, or, you know, or this bill that just got dropped in my lap. You're just like, all right, I want to fix this. I want to be around for a while. So, you know, I respect it. And I was always one to kind of take more of the like all in approach, but I just think for the majority of the people out there, I think there's such low hanging fruit that they can eliminate pretty fast. And if you want to go in for that heavy testing, like that next level testing, I think you really have to assess, one, do you have the money for it? Two, if you're going to get that information, this isn't in any order. If you're going to receive that information, are you going to actually utilize it?
Yeah. No, exactly. You know, so, and then I'm looking at like, what's my motivation? Like, obviously I want to feel good. Like, we went for a run the other day. I felt like dog shit. Like, for some reason, like,
well,
it's just,
you don't know why. I mean, I'll normally look at like the 3 days prior, 4 days.
Yeah. Like, I've been riding my bike to different work things. And I've been like, when I get on the bike, like, I got the watch on, I'm like, I'm going to make it faster this time. Right. So and that adds up after a while. I'm like, oh geez, like, I'm bagged. So then we went for a run, and I'm like, I'm dying. So yeah, no, I think you're right. It's all about looking at, you know, documenting what you've done over a longer period of time and going, oh, okay, that's why, you know, traveled on the weekend. And so, yeah.
I mean, listen, I got back. It's funny. You don't realize how good you feel until you put yourself in an environment where you're not doing what you typically do. Last weekend, I went to Nashville. I was there in a hockey tournament. I never drink. I was out 3 nights drinking. I was eating crap. I was letting my hair down. I was relaxing. And then the next thing you know, I get back, and I think the first 2 nights I'm asleep and I'm having anxiety, which I never have, you know, and I'm sweating in my sleep and my heart's racing in the morning. And I'm like, whoa. You know, it's like, and the people listening who've gone through it, they understand. But God, I couldn't imagine. I mean, even a couple of drinks, if I go out and I have a couple of drinks, I wake up at 3 a.m. and my heart's racing. Like, your body, like, you don't realize when you put something toxic in your body, alcohol, your body has, its response is to detox it. Your body's basically saying, like, I don't want this in here. Like, I don't want, like, this isn't right. Something's wrong. Let me get rid of it. And then it starts spending all this energy trying to detox the crap that's in your body. And when you're sleeping and it's spending energy when you sleep, that's valuable energy that could be going into enabling your body to repair. So your body, when it sleeps, your body's like, nope, this is when the cleaning crew is going to come in. So I always tell my clients, you're asleep, the club's closed, cleaning crew is going to come in, and they're going to oil the bearings and clean the floors and, just make this place look spectacular. And then the next morning, everyone walks in and it's shiny and new. And when you are spending energy, in your sleep detoxing, it's, the next day you're waking up and your body's in a bad state. Now, once in a blue moon, okay, you're going to make it. You start doing that twice a week, 3 times a week, your body starts losing that valuable sleep. That's why you look at rock stars and they look like, if they're 60, they look like they're 90. It's just like your body spent 30, 40 years going through that vicious cycle and that vicious process. And, honestly, man, no one's ever won that battle, as you know. It's like the life is precious. And I know I'm sounding like a preacher right now. My old man's in the hospital. Unfortunately, he's got pneumonia and he's been having like respiratory problems for the last year. He quit smoking 40 years ago. 40. All right, he's 63. So he started smoking at 37 years. Whatever the math is. He started smoking when he was 18. So 18, I mean, what year is that for him? I mean, he was born in what, 44, 45? I mean, so 18, 55, 65. What's that, 1963, 62? Do the math right around there. So he started smoking at a time where they didn't really have a ton of research out on smoking, and people are just doing it because it's a social event and it's cool and it's like, all right, but he thinks he's getting his ass kicked a little bit now from the cigarettes 40 years ago. And it's scary stuff. You got vape pens out there now. You're seeing them exploding on kids' faces. They're starting to cause brain issues that they're starting to find, memory issues. Come on, man. What are we doing? Like
there's bacteria in it that get in your system. Yeah, it's messed up.
Is that what they're saying about that? The exploding part's crazy. They blew up in a few people's faces. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, but it generally seems to be pointing to this is bad. And but even the smoking thing, like the guy quit in 1963. I'm like, I'm wondering why he made that decision back then, because 63 was like,
Oh no, he started in my dad started in about, I think, 63.
Oh, he started, and when did he quit?
I think when he was in his 30s. So I think he did it for at least 15 years, 6 years.
So in the 70s, like
yeah.
Even then, people. I mean, smoking.
Maybe early 80s. I don't know the math on it.
Yeah.
He smoked for a while, but then he quit.
Yeah.
And he was told then that, after 6 months, I was talking to him last night. He said, after 6 months, I was told that everything gets restored back to normal. And I was saying to myself back then, this is what he's saying. How's that possible? Like consuming tar, and he kind of knew. He was in med school for almost 4 years, and he decided not to. He just couldn't do it. He just decided not to finish it.
Wow.
And he got into catering, but I think he knew then. He was smart enough to know that, all right, this isn't good. And but back then they're telling him, no, 6 months, you'll get it out of your system, and your body detoxifies, and this and that. And he's like, I know for a fact it's probably some of the reasons why sometimes I have those issues. But it's like someone coming to me and they're saying, I'm not a nutritionist, Derek. I'm not. I'm a nutritious enthusiast. I'm passionate about nutrition. I love it. I study it. I'm not a nutritionist. And people come in, they're like, macros. I'm like, relax with the macros, man. Like, it's not like you drink it 3 nights a week. You're intermittent fasting and then going out and eating hamburgers at night. Like, you want to start measuring, like, it's going to motivate you to stay on track, fine. But typically when you go from one extreme to the other like that, you end up just falling off the boat. You just can't maintain it.
Yeah, I had dinner the other night with John Caloric. We had him on. He was the DE.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. So they were saying that him and his wife had decided to go on the ketogenic diet, right? And I said, oh, well, you should talk to Don. So at some point he'll contact you. But he's like, is there anything I should be worried about? And, I'm just, kind of walking him through it. And it was just interesting that people will just choose that path because, I don't know, seems like let's do something completely different.
Yeah, it's almost like a quick fix in a way. It's almost like, I was talking to a buddy of mine this morning. He said that, he got back from the trip with me and he got on a 3-day juice cleanse.
Yep.
And I was like, do I like juice cleanses? No. It was his extreme way of being able to immerse himself into a direction. I mean, obviously, even when I got back last weekend, a part of me was like, I just don't want to eat Monday. I just want to train and kind of sweat it all out. But I knew that organic vegetables, organic protein, good healthy carbohydrates, lots of water, and frequently throughout the day is going to help act as a detoxifying agent. And so that's how I like to detox. So sometimes mentally people just want to jump into it, lean into it. And I'm like, all right, so be it. Like, fantastic. But I think the ketogenic, again, it's just something that you package. It's a very all right, it's a very extreme 180 to what you've been doing. And I think mentally people start feeling fantastic.
Yeah.
But rarely do I see someone who's adamant and on it, all year long, every year. And I don't know, just anytime someone's trying to just sell that, I'm like, it almost kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It almost like leans me into knowing what that type of person, not what type of person, but just their approach and their, sometimes they're trying to sell a product, or, this one guy, Thomas DeLauer, all he does is talk about keto. And, he looks great, fine, but, he's using all these fancy words with people that probably don't understand half the shit that they're using. And I'm like, dude, relax, man. You can't tell me. Like, I know clients who've worked with him and they're like, 4 months later, I was ready to hang myself. Like, I can't, I can't eat a diet that's 90% fat and just, out of nowhere. And I believe, like, man, you got to enjoy it a little bit. Like, when it comes to food, I believe in developing resilience in the body and allow the body to act as a fat burning furnace and build muscle and optimize digestion and, make your body strong so it doesn't get sick. And, and then when you want to go have a pizza or you go to, you decide to go eat fast food, like, all right, fine. It might sound disgusting. You might feel disgusting, but your body will get rid of that in a few days. It's okay. It's your birthday. You want to go eat a whole pizza pie and eat a gallon of ice cream, go have it. Like, I believe that there's got to be some enjoyment. If you're the type of person that enjoys just eating, grass-fed steak and sweet potato and, organic vegetables all day, and that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy. But most people aren't like that.
Is it okay? Like, would you promote sort of like a nutritional periodization just to keep it interesting? We're like, okay, we're going to do a keto phase, and then now we're going to move to intermittent fasting, and then we're going to go.
I think it's smart if you're true to it. I think there's nothing wrong with Calorie wants to go experiment with keto. I'm like, dude, go do keto for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
See how your body feels. See how your brain function is. Like, I've experimented with it, but I also knew, like, getting into it, I'm not like, this is it. Like, you see that amateur fitness person who takes a course and they come back and they're like putting the tattoo of the course on their arm. And you used to see it with RKC, Russian Kettlebell Challenge, or Strong First, or these guys would come back and it's like all they believed and breathed because they just kind of jumped into this culture. And awesome, man. Have a love, like, feel like you have a sense of community. But when it comes to like nutrition, things change throughout the year. I did a fat adapted diet this year for like 6-7 weeks, and it was cool, and it reminded me of certain things. And I realized.
So what is that? Tell people what that is. What is it?
I don't think I would call fat adapted. Like, I wasn't in ketosis.
Okay.
I wasn't in ketosis, but I was consuming a heavy amount of fats. And I definitely dropped my protein, and I definitely lowered my carbohydrates. So it was just something where I was trying to utilize fats more for energy, and I wanted to see how my body felt and how my brain. And listen, definitely, like, did I feel a little bit more clarity? Yes. Did I feel like my energy improved? Yes. But then after a while, I wasn't feeling that anymore. And then when I went back and started implementing carbohydrates back in, man, my body just got rock solid. And
okay.
Energy went through the roof, and then my brain clarity came back, and then like my muscle fullness, and I felt like I got leaner. When people are like, oh, you're going to get lean. No, like when you do keto, when you do fat adapted diets, I don't believe that I think you lose weight. I don't necessarily mean you get like drier. Like when you look at guys in fitness magazines, they have these big full chests and these really dry abdominals. It's like a terminology where they're almost veiny. I almost feel like you get a little skinny fat on the other stuff. Like, you're still lean, but when you go and you grab someone, they don't hold that muscle density. There's no glycogen in the muscle to where the muscle's going to fill, because the muscle's made up, how much water is the muscle made up of? 70% or something crazy like that, right? It's some crazy amount. So when you start ridding your body of water, the muscle starts losing that hardness. And I don't know about you, but like anyone I train or anyone I work with, their aesthetic goal is to have that hardness in the muscle. That's on movies. In movies, that's what it gives you, the appearance of having the Rock, like I can run through a wall type of thing. And I've grabbed guys who look like they can sit there and pose, and they have these beautiful round muscles, and I'll grab them sometimes and they're like soft. And I immediately can grab them and just tell how they eat. I could tell they do a lot of no, seriously, I can grab them and actually tell how what their nutrition's like. It's hysterical. I'm like, oh, you do a lot of sometimes I'll joke around, like, oh, you do a lot of low carb stuff? Like, yeah, I'm trying to keep my carbs in under 100 a day. I'm like, how long have you been doing that? They're like, forever. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like you'd be shocked if we started kind of slowly bumping your carbohydrates up over a few weeks, what would actually happen.
That's interesting.
The
touch test. The touch.
Seriously, I'm not joking. I can tell. I can tell muscle hardness. Like almost. I'm not telling you like, oh no, I grabbed this arm and I can tell he consumes 150 grams of carbs a day. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I can grab the guy and almost tell, all right, what they're eating is, you can see it even in their skin. Like a lot of times when they start depriving themselves of nutrients, their skin gets very ashy. Their nails get very brittle.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like in Dallas, when we're at this conference, they had during the day outside, they were running a CrossFit type competition.
Yeah.
Right. So you go out there and you watch. They were doing clean and jerks for 4 minutes straight and deadlifts for 2 minutes straight. And,
Jesus Christ.
And I know I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the people who are the athletes, right? And they didn't have what I would consider like nice looking bodies. Like they were kind of bulky, but their body composition wasn't necessarily great, and they didn't look healthy, I guess.
Because they all do paleo, but they all pound alcohol. And so it's like, I do paleo, but I drink heavily. So it's, I don't know. I mean, it's so funny that you said that. One of my trainers here, Tiago Carreno, the other Tiago, Brazilian kid, strong ass kid, man. But he came in here as a CrossFitter. And I remember looking at him and being like, Tiago, you understand the competitors aren't training in CrossFit boxes. And very smart kid, but he was like, yeah, some of them do. And then he started adapting his training, and he started allowing himself more rest, and he focused a little bit more on strength, and he started kind of waiving ways of training. And he's turning around every day right now, and he's like, I'm PRing. I've never done this. This is what I've always wanted to do. I feel better. I feel stronger. And I'm like, listen, dude, like, and he knows it. Like a lot of these people who train in CrossFit boxes, they're not that strong. Seriously, I don't even mind if people hear this. Like the CrossFit competitors, absolutely. Like the reason why I couldn't compete in the CrossFit Games is because I don't have an Olympic lifting background. Like otherwise, like everything else they do, like work capacity, strength, great, awesome. But the Olympic lifting definitely sets them apart. But these guys who train like that, they're not going into CrossFit boxes, or the majority of them aren't, and they're not running around doing WODs every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and training until they puke. Like you see how I've seen Rich Froning, you see Rich Froning train, and he's like, all right, this morning I'm going to focus on the erg. And he gets on the erg and he bombs the erg, and then he comes back in the afternoon. He's like, now I'm going to focus on this. And he'll focus on some Olympic lifting technique. And like when you see how they break their training down, at least the elite guys, they seem a lot smarter. But when I do work capacity training, I want to get your opinion on this right now. When I do work capacity training, I know 3-4 weeks, I'm done. And when I say I'm done, I mean like mentally I'm done. I'm not physically done. Like, yeah, I'll notice that my body starts changing. It's all good. I start getting weak. Yeah. I start getting weak, and that pisses me off. I don't want to be weak. I mean, talk about that a little bit. I mean, because you obviously know a lot about that.
Yeah, like there was one case where a couple of local actresses were like, yeah, I want to run like 10K or I want to run a marathon. So I would have to go out and runs with them, like long runs. And I'm like, this sucks, right? And then they would they weren't fast. So I would now have to run slow, which I would start getting back spasms because I'm like, it's not really how I run. But the one thing I did notice was all my weightlifting numbers went in the tank. Like if I was benching, like, I don't know, at that time, I think I was benching around 345, 350, and it went down to like below 300, like really quickly. I'm like, oh God, this is horrible.
You still bench a lot. What do you bench?
Like when I was at Drive, I think I put 225 up for 8, and I was like thrilled. I'm like, yay, great.
That's a big bench, man. 345, 350 is big.
Yeah, back then. But that was like, I would say like 10 years ago. Anyways, but and I didn't feel healthy back then. Like I felt like I couldn't even wipe my ass. But yeah, I definitely noticed that if I did anything endurance related for an extended period of time, it would take, take from my gas tank somewhere else. So
And I also feel like the more cardio I do, I almost feel like the more skinny fat I get. And right now I'm on I've been on a 9-week periodized strength push-pull program. One day's all full body push. The next day's full body pull. Wednesday's full body push to full body pull. I do that 6 days, really low volume. And my body's probably getting one of the better responses it's received from it, because I almost feel like I'm coming in and my frequency's up. I'm touching it. I'm not overtaxing it. But my body, every week I'm PRing. I'm like, from when I started. Every week's like, I'm stronger. And it's nice. And my body's looking better. And I'm not like, cardio for me during the week is 1 day of hockey right now. And I'll probably go for a run tomorrow. And when I say run, I mean 2 to 3 miles, something short. That's all I'm doing. And I feel like if I start exhausting that, then my strength decreases. When my strength decreases, I almost feel like my muscle density increases.
Yeah.
And I feel like my glycogen storages start decreasing, and I have to eat that much more food. And it's almost like, God, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're big. You're a bigger hockey fan than me. I'm Canadian, and who's going to win the Stanley Cup, Don?
We were Boston.
Not a Canadian team, that's for sure.
No, it's Boston playing Carolina right now, and it's San Jose playing St. Louis. Man, Boston looked good last night, and San Jose. I mean, I'd like to see San Jose. I don't know, man. I mean, San Jose St. Louis series. I mean, I think Boston's gonna steamroll through Carolina.
Okay.
I think they overstayed there, so I think that's done. I think they're going. St. Louis, San Jose is tough, man. I don't know. St. Louis just rolled through Dallas, and I didn't think that was going to happen. And they look good. And I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. I'm an MLB guy. I'm a huge baseball guy, but I'm almost depressed for when it's over, because the hockey's so good right now. And every night I'm coming home and I'm like watching hockey, and it's fun.
Yeah. I was in Dallas. It's like 80 something degrees. And there's hockey fans everywhere. I'm like, this is nuts. This is crazy. So
it's awesome. Dallas is like an exciting team. I was psyched that my Islanders made it through that first round to beat Pittsburgh. That was really cool. And we went to the playoff game at the Barclays Center again.
Oh, nice.
Carolina. And I took my kids. It was their first playoff hockey experience. And
wow.
Though I don't love the Barclays Center, I mean, they were literally, the first 5 minutes of the game, they were like, we were jumping on each other. And my kids were like, oh my God, this is absolutely insane. Like, playoff hockey special. I mean, I love baseball is my favorite sport. I'll pick it over anything, but playoff hockey, man, when you get a good playoff hockey game, that excitement, what are you, Canucks fan?
Not really.
You ever go to any games?
Oh, we went last year when they played the Islanders, and
They win or lose?
I think the Canucks beat the Islanders, right? But the Islanders were a better team. It's just one of those nights. But yeah, I'm just like, okay, I don't know. It wasn't exciting, I guess, but there wasn't, neither of those teams were playoff teams back then. But yeah, no, the Canucks are in a bit of a drought, I would say. So
who do we want? I mean, who we scheduled for next week? I'm curious. I'm looking at my book right now. Who do we have?
Greg Amundsen is next.
Okay. So Greg's the police officer, but he actually, that's interesting. Because he's a CrossFitter, not a competitor.
Yeah. He I don't know if he got a little offended when we mentioned CrossFit Games. Like, I don't do that, or I think he did it in the very first one, but I think he does more of the law enforcement angle, training law enforcement and maybe military. So I'd be interested.
I'm excited about that. It'll be interesting. I mean, I feel like every person that we bring on has a little bit of a different angle, and I think it's cool because it's all revolving around fitness. But how do you think you want to approach that? I kind of want to hear. I mean, I want to hear how he started. I mean, he started with Glassman. He's like Jeff Glassman.
Yeah,
started.
That's right. That's right.
That's interesting. I want to hear about him a little bit.
Yeah, about the origin and his general take on it. But yeah, I mean, the law enforcement thing's interesting because there's a lot of people in law enforcement who are just out of shape and unhealthy. Like, it's an unhealthy profession. I think I was going through the stats, and there's like a high incidence of, cardiac disease and, high blood pressure. And, some people don't make it beyond 60. Right. So, that there's that angle, the health angle, and then the performance angle. Like, how much of that performance do you need to be a police officer? You may be in like some sort of tactical unit, but I don't know.
What's applicable? Also, I got friends of mine that are Secret Service, and they have specific tests they have to do. And I'm like, thinking to myself, well, these are kind of useless tests.
Yeah.
They're not, and they're actually causing the fact that they have to train that way for those tests because they're so paranoid about it.
Yeah.
I think it's causing more wear and tear on their body. So you're here, whoever, the government, law enforcement, call it what you want, creates this protocol for them to follow. Yet the protocol is breaking them down, and I think actually making them less efficient athletes.
Yeah.
For me, it's no different than having a strength coach,
Well, it's like the NFL Combine. Like, I'll have a lot of people say, like, we just prep for the NFL Combine, and then they go to their first training camp, and they're not ready because it's so different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What's actually applicable? I mean, out of everything in the Combine, what tests would you throw away? You think bench press is useless?
I don't think it's useless. I mean, all of those things are like
cool. It's fun.
Yeah, as far as the sport's concerned, it maybe not be applicable, but I think a lot of that stuff, you're like, well, does a guy train, right? Is the guy, doing a training program? I think that's a lot of it. Like even the 40-yard dash, there's been studies to say, is that relevant? I don't know. Maybe not for Jerry Rice, but for some people, they rely on speed more. I don't know. So
Jerry Rice is exactly Jerry Rice. You would time in a 40, nothing impressive, but get him
4.7. I think he ran. Yeah.
So I think that's what I think. I ran a 4.6.
Yeah.
But I mean, back in college, but you get him on the field and you ain't catching him, right?
It's different. Yeah, it's very different. So,
what about
I don't know.
Boswell?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I mean, he just had, I think they should have just screened him better with his shoulders, right? Wasn't that the issue?
I wonder what his combine. I'm looking quick right now because I know we're minutes, but I want to see. It should say it here. Let's check it out quick. Brian Bosworth. Combine. Let's check out. Ooh. Damn it. Brian Bosworth. We got to go combine numbers, right? He still looks good.
They got a recent picture of him.
Combine stats. Because I heard, the biggest NFL, historical big combine misses. Brian Bosworth's the first name to come up here.
Oh, why did he do well at the combine and didn't pan out as a player?
I think he killed it.
Yeah.
Who ended up sucking at the combine. Mike Manula. They're talking about Jamarcus Russell, Troy Williamson, Matt Jones, Vernon Golston, Chris Henry, Brian Bosworth. All right. So Mohawk NCAA bands also kept in the headlines. Leading up to 87 supplemental draft, the BC Oklahoma linebacker zipped through his 40-yard dash in 4.6. Is that good for a linebacker?
Yeah. I mean, he probably was about 235 pounds, 240 pounds. That's not bad.
Doesn't get anything else. That's weak. That's Men's Health. That's like, what did he bench? Like some guys can, I mean, I got to find out. I got to look into this more. They're not really.
Well, it was interesting. I remember in 2003, I went to USC to watch them train, and I looked up at their record board of who had the best lifts, and I might have recognized one name.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily correlate to football success. So
drafted in 87 by the Seahawks after benching. Oh, so he benched 450 at the combine. Bosworth's lone contribution to the NFL was getting run over by Raiders running Bo Jackson on the way to the end zone. I saw that. Actually, did you see Bo Jackson's 30 for 30? You don't know?
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Kind of funny, man. That was a good one. All right. So next week we have Greg. We should start talking about who we wanted me to aim for. There's this guy, Jordan Shallow, that I just he came down to Muscle and Fitness with us. And he had so much stuff to talk about. We talked about stability, but we really kind of dumbed it down a little bit for M&F. And I think there's some really interesting stuff he can talk about because he's more of a power builder, but he's a chiropractor, really intelligent, works a lot with Ben Pekulski, but super animated. He's got a meet coming up. I think he squats like over 7 bills. I mean, he's a strong kid. He's 28. He might be someone worth bringing up. But I don't know. I still like going a lot of the doctor angle. I like having who we had on last week. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was good.
You said your foot doctor friend, right?
Yeah, I got a guy who's really knowledgeable in the orthotics, so I'll try and schedule that.
I have some questions. I have some questions about that also. I got a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, so do I. Like, because I think people are pretty loose with it. Like, oh yes, you need orthotics, and this is how it should be. And you're like, I don't know. Like, how do they? Like they used to when I was a kid, they would just measure my feet. Some guy would just take a tape measure, and you're like, okay. And then they went to like pressure plates, or then they cast your feet. I don't know. Is this just all made up? Is it based on science?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I have a lot of questions. So
all right, man. Listen, let's we'll get out next week. I'm gonna still give some more podcast partner thoughts. Same here, brother. All right, have a good weekend.
Okay, take care, man.